Again, we are waiting for Maine Senator Susan Collins, what she will do. She said she wants to hear from this woman. She also wants to hear the judge respond to what she has to say. Now, the issue is how much time this could add to this process. So we're watching it very closely. Is it a matter of a nomination delayed or denied? Democratic strategist Jessica Tarloff, the Washington Examiner's Gabby Marangiello, and market watcher Melissa Arma. Melissa, I'm glad you're here because I imagine denied might rattle investors. What do you think?
Actually, if it does, it would be a temporary reaction, not a reaction that would last a long time. I really don't think that the market cares whether or not he goes through this process, whether it takes a week, whether it goes on Thursday, whether he never even gets through. Trump is going to pick someone else if they don't approve him, and he will pick another conservative person to be the judge. So I don't know what they hope to gain from this. Everybody seems to be so against this poor man, and honestly, it's a he said, she said at this point.
Well, you know, a delay could change the equation a little bit, right, Gabby? If it gets really delayed after the midterms, or let's say the Democrats were to take the Senate, for example, all bets are off, right?
Yeah, that introduces a whole new change to this entire process, and I think that would absolutely inject some uncertainty into the markets if we reach a point where we're approaching the midterms just weeks or days away even, and we still don't have a Supreme Court nominee who's gone through a confirmation hearing, assuming that Kavanaugh either withdraws his confirmation or the White House urges him to do so. I don't think that's going to be the case. If you heard the president speak to reporters earlier today, he said it was a ridiculous question to ask if Kavanaugh had even floated that, and that he wants the full process to be completed before we make a determination one way or another if he's qualified for this position on the high court. But I do think that, you know, if we do come to the point where we're in the 11th hour before the midterm elections, and it does seem as though there's a steady chance that Democrats could take back the Senate, that this would really create problems for Republicans.
Jessica, we are waiting, obviously, to hear from Maine Senator Susan Collins, of course, who is very focused on the Roe v. Wade issue, and wasn't a given that she was a yes vote. It looked increasingly likely. Has the equation changed a little here?
Oh, it definitely has, and we have to wait for new information, and I'm heartened to see so many senators on both sides of the aisle saying that we need to hear from Professor Ford as well as from Judge Kavanaugh. Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski were the first two Republicans that people were looking to see what they would say. I would say that's kind of implicitly sexist that we should be looking to the ladies first, because it was Jeff Flake and then Bob Corker who came out actually initially to say that we need to hear from Professor Ford. But the equation absolutely changes. I happen to, sadly, not think Democrats are going to take back the Senate come November, but that would 100% change the equation. And to Melissa's comments just a moment ago about, you know, calling Judge Kavanaugh this poor man and using the language, you know, he said, she might very well be right here. And we have to make sure that we're being fair here. She is a very competent person. She has a great big career. Her testimony, which I'm sure everyone has written or what was in the Washington Post, seems truthful.
So they should both get their chance to state their case.
Yes, absolutely.
But let me get a sense, as we're waiting to hear from Susan Collins, this issue, and it has been raised before, sexist though it may sound, Melissa, that Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski were crucial Republican votes who might not be given yes votes. And I'm wondering how this is sorting out. When you look at this and factor it into what you do, what do you do?
Listen, again, I don't think the market's very bullish. I'm very bullish in the market right now. We're close to the highs in every index, the Dow and the S&P. And I think whether even if the Congress doesn't stay Republican, I think that Trump's still the president. So therefore, the market's going to continue higher. But as far as the poor man comment that I said, here's my problem with this. Who is going to want to serve our country and run for political office when they have to go through scrutiny about things that happened when they were far back as teenagers? We're not going to have anybody left. Nobody's perfect. And I'm not saying this man did it, and I'm not saying he didn't do it. I don't know. All I'm saying is when you put yourself out there and you're willing to serve the country, and these people don't get paid a lot of money, who's going to want to do it?
Well, I mean,
it seems like
you might
a
not
lot
get
of
paid
people.
a lot of money to be a Supreme Court justice, but there is a little bit of
power.
Power held to that. Ladies, I'm sorry to cut this short here. I want to pass along some other news we're waiting for here. Very shortly, we should get details from the Trump administration how it's going to go after China on additional tariffs.